This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Tasmania police say a shooting that occurred in Bridgewater in the early hours of Sunday morning was a targeted attack and the result of two parties feuding with one another. Police say a 34-year-old man at a residence in Leyland Place was shot several times by a 12-gauge shotgun about 3:30 a.m. He was treated at the scene and remains in the Royal Hobart Hospital in a stable condition.
There has been evidence left at the scene that's been forensically examined. We've also been able to ascertain that it appears a 1980s white Toyota Corolla that was stolen from Mount Nelson between Thursday and Friday night has actually been used.
Anyone with information can contact Crime Stoppers. A 29-year-old man has been charged in relation to the robbery of a Launceston coffee shop. Sweet Brew in George Street was targeted overnight, with thieves breaking in and causing significant damage to the property. The owners forced to remain closed today and say being broken into is something businesses are now facing too often.
To constantly have these kind of pressures added by people who don't really care so much about that, our staff will miss out. It's a case we've just renovated, just expanded, and now we've got to go through this, get doors repaired, get locks repaired. It all costs money.
Police say it was an isolated incident and all the stolen property has been recovered. The alleged offender is expected to appear in an after-hours court this evening. Labor leader Rebecca White says her party's win in the Pembroke by-election has boosted her confidence for the state election. The result means there will now be 4 Labor members in the upper house, leaving the government concerned it now faces a tougher fight to pass legislation.
A warm welcome from the party leader, the newly elected member for Pembroke, meeting with Rebecca White after officially securing the seat last night.
And will be an outstanding Member of Parliament representing the people of Pembroke. I'm so proud of her.
I wanted it to be a really positive, solutions-focused campaign.
38-year-old Jo Seeker was the only female candidate and dominated primary votes. Political analysts say the numbers demonstrate a shift towards the Labor Party, with the campaign described as a litmus test for the state election.
The Pembroke by-election shows that support for the Liberal Party is softening, so it's going to make it more difficult for them to secure a majority government.
Rebecca White says the results indicate her party can achieve a majority result when Tasmanians go to the polls in March.
I'm absolutely confident with the runs we've got on the board, the people we've got in our team and the policies we'll take to the election that we can form majority government.
Clearly the change of leadership in the Labor Party has been vindicated. They've got momentum and it's significant that Jo Seeker, another young woman with experience outside politics, very much fits that broader strategy of renewal.
The Labor vote was exactly the same level or very close to it that it was in the 2014 election. So they haven't improved. They've just had a policy to have no policies and played a small target strategy.
The government now facing a more hostile upper house, with concerns Labor will have more power to block legislation.
With 3 Labor members in the upper house blocking legislation, now with 4 it'll be nigh on impossible to get legislation through.
We'll support the government when we think they've put forward good legislation, and we've shown that we do that.
And what we really need are politicians, political parties and leaders who can compromise and negotiate and deliver outcomes that are going to be important for the Tasmanian community.
Jo Seeker will be officially sworn in tomorrow. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
The Heart Foundation has launched a confronting new campaign, borrowing tactics used in the fight against smoking. It's using graphic images to highlight the health implications of being overweight and obese.
This is the ad designed to make Tasmanians uncomfortable.
A toxic fat also builds up around your vital organs, releasing dangerous levels of chemicals that bring heart disease, diabetes and cancer closer.
Showing the inside view of unhealthy lifestyles. This poster shows someone moderately overweight.
And so this shows the fat around the organs, so they're actually intestines there, and the fat is actually almost suffocating the intestine, so it's not exactly a healthy environment.
So this is the fat that sits in the abdominal cavity. It surrounds all the vital organs and produces hormones and toxic chemicals that can really lead to the onset of heart disease, of diabetes and a number of cancers.
It's part of a campaign being launched across television, newspapers and social media. It's backed up by the Live Lighter website, which includes tips, recipes, meal plans and tracking tools.
You'd be surprised perhaps to know, but 2 out of 3 Tasmanian adults aren't maintaining a healthy weight. So they're either overweight or obese.
RACT CEO Harvey Lennon says he's proof simple lifestyle changes can work.
I've lost 25 kilograms, so I was very heavy, I was a long way overweight, and I still am overweight, but I believe that I'm a lot healthier, I feel better.
The campaign has been funded through the state government's Healthy Tasmania strategy. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
Tasmania Police is appealing for public information following a burglary in Moona in the early hours of this morning. Police say a large quantity of cigarettes were stolen from the Woolworths supermarket on Charles Street at around 4 a.m.
To gain entry, whereupon hundreds of packets of cigarettes with approximate value of thousands of dollars have been stolen.
Anyone with information in relation to the sale of cheap cigarettes or a gold-coloured Holden Commodore sedan seen in the area around that time is asked to contact Crime Stoppers. The unmarked graves of 9 World War I diggers have been commemorated with headstones. Today's dedication is just a small portion of more than 500 unmarked graves across the state.
The Governor views new headstones on previously unmarked graves at Cornelian Bay Cemetery. The resting place of 9 World War I veterans now properly recognised as part of the headstone project.
I think it's important in as much as that these men served Australia in time of war, and they really do, deserve to be honoured and they do deserve to be remembered.
The group includes veterans who were wounded in action and men who served at Gallipoli and Somme.
Through circumstances often beyond their control, they have ended up in an unmarked grave. Certainly I think it is the right thing to do to actually bring that recognition.
A dedication ceremony heard the reasons why some veterans missed out on a headstone. One of those, financial constraints during the Depression.
You make a choice of whether you're going to feed your family or put a headstone up, and usually feed your family comes first.
It's estimated there were more than 500 unmarked graves across the state, but it's a time-intensive problem to rectify.
We can walk the ground, see where there's unmarked graves, because they're pretty obvious because there's nothing there in most cases, and then check against those records against the service records and see if they served at all.
The effort's helping to respect those who served our country. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
The 2017 Captain's Ride is well and truly underway. The Steve Waugh Foundation's cyclists are taking to the state's roads in a bid to raise awareness and funds for rare diseases. The Day 2 Peloton spirits lifted by a late arrival, Cadell Evans flying in from Switzerland to join the cause.
He's ridden with the best in the world, but today Cadell couldn't be prouder in joining an army of riders raising money for kids doing it tough.
Children with rare diseases or even unknown diseases, they really, as Steve was explaining to me, they have no one else to turn to. And if we're going to help anyone in society, we need to help the people who need it the most.
With around 400,000 Australian children facing up to 8,000 rare diseases, AFL legend Adam Goodes says choosing to jump on board for the second year running was an easy decision.
When I see good people doing good things for other people less fortunate than them, I've got all the time in the world for people like that.
Steve Waugh and his wife Lynette work tirelessly to support those they feel are the orphans of the Australian health system. And on just day 2 of 6, they say the support here has been overwhelming.
People in Tasmania have been fantastic, and we had people stopping and just handing us $50 notes and saying, love your work and the foundation. And it's really nice, and the Rotary here have donated a really nice cheque, which means a lot because it's hard to raise money, and there's a lot of charities they can give it to, so we really appreciate it.
So far, this year's ride is well and truly exceeding its fundraising expectations.
The goal was to raise $1 million on this trip, and primarily that comes down to the riders behind us here. There's 70 riders who have aimed to raise $10,000 each, and they've hit that target, so we're around about the $1 million mark.
The riders will rest in Devonport tonight before tackling the gruelling 77-kilometre climb to Cradle Mountain tomorrow.
This trip is about us as riders experiencing it tough on the bike, tough in the saddle, the body, the mind to overcome those challenges, because they're the sorts of challenges that the families that we're trying to help and the kids are going through every day.
And according to Cadell, despite how tough some may find it, riding Tassie's roads really is quite enjoyable.
Time to talk to people, to enjoy stock and have scones and jam and cream. You don't do that during the Tour de France.
Jessie Gilmore, Southern Cross News.
The 2017 Tour of Tasmania has begun. The 5-stage cycling event's 600-metre prologue taking place today, with the country's best up-and-coming riders racing the clock uphill.
It's a beautiful event, and Cadell won it when he was only about 20, and it was the launching pad for him to go on. Same as Richie, he was only a young youngster, and a lot of guys here we would think would be professionals racing in Europe in a couple of years' time.
The Tour's 106 cyclists include Tasmania's Jacob Langham, Zach Johnson and Oliver Martin. Stage 1 begins in Georgetown tomorrow morning. Tasmanians are being called on to highlight the impact of volunteers. The Southern Cross Television Tasmanian Volunteering Awards have been launched by the Governor. It's aimed at recognising people who provide a vital contribution to our community.
People are volunteering in so many different aspects of our communities: tourism, heritage, arts, animals, community health, emergency services.
Nominations can be submitted to the Volunteering Tasmania website until March. Australia's largest and longest running craft fair has seen a record number of people walk through the doors as the 4-day event comes to an end. The fair is in its 37th year and showcases the best of Tasmania, from handmade jewellery to gourmet artisan food.
It's the time of the year when the town of Deloraine comes alive. The largest arts and crafts fair in Australia coming to an end and exceeding expectations.
It's been successful on a number of levels. The crowd numbers are what we anticipated, so that's great. The exhibitors themselves have had a fairly good craft fair. They've made enough money that they're all wanting to come back, so it'll be bigger and better the next year.
A record 18,000 people walked through the doors, with more than 250 exhibitors displaying unique craftsmanship.
The fair's been better than it's exceeded every year as we have been at the craft fair. We've probably been here 7 years, so each year's been better.
Yeah, it's really interesting, a lot of variety, plenty to see. Yeah, it's definitely worth a look around.
Peter Murray is one of many new store holders and says his work never ceases to fascinate Tasmanians.
I think they're amused, at the very least, and some people become quite enthusiastic, particularly with the stone technology.
The craft fair is in its 37th year and injects up to $1 million into the community. Organisers say the success of the event comes from showcasing everything from quality art to artisan food.
We love doing the craft fair. It's a fantastic way to show off Tasmanians, the artists and craftspeople that we have here, and also the Deloraine area. So yeah, we're definitely going to be here running hard for next year.
The fair is a not-for-profit event run by the Rotary Club of Deloraine. Rita Risk, Southern Cross News.
Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The share market has fallen on the back of disappointing earnings by Westpac, the bank down more than 2%. Qantas also down on higher oil prices. The ASX 200 index has fallen by 6.1 points. And just a short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 76.51 US cents and 66 euro cents.
The Tasmanian Tigers remain winless this Sheffield Shield season, with the Bulls getting the job done at Blunston Arena a short time ago. Queensland needing just 56 overs to chase down Tasmania's disappointing second innings total, winning the match comfortably by 7 wickets. After clawing their way back in the match, it was the same old story from the Tigers' top order yesterday afternoon. Jake Doran, George Bailey and Ben McDermott all gone for a duck, with the Tigers all done for 150. Joe Burns dashed hopes of early wickets this morning as he and Matt Renshaw got to work. Tom Rogers couldn't catch a trick as Burns belted him around Blunston, with the Bulls needing just 94 runs come lunch. Gabe Bell finally claiming the breakthrough in Renshaw on 19, but Burns continued to fire, racing past his 50 and combining running with Kawaja to edge closer to victory. Bell struck again shortly after, ending Burns' innings on 70. Jackson Bird preventing Marnus Labuschagne from having an impact, but Kawaja and Trollope held steady, chasing down the total with plenty of time to spare, as the visitors handed the Tigers their second Shield loss on the trot with a 7-wicket win. A Launceston bodybuilder has recently achieved a goal almost a decade in the making, crowned an ICN Australian champion. But Ursula McCulloch says she's not done just yet, keen to push herself even further in the sport. The result of thousands of hours in the gym, culminating into one very special moment for Ursula McCulloch.
And this year I decided that I'd like to try and win an Australian title, and that was 12 months ago, so I set the seed for myself.
3 weeks ago, that achievement was reached in Melbourne, when McCulloch beat out the country's best to claim the ICN Miss Australian figure title.
It still feels a little bit unreal. Obviously to have that in my head for 9 years, to be able to set myself that goal and come away with the win, very proud of myself.
It tops off a successful year for the Launceston mother after placing second in the state titles in September before winning the Open overall figure title at the Bendigo Classic. Just reward for the sacrifices the sport requires, including time away from her young son.
All I want to do is set a good role model for him and other people out there, that they can set goals for themselves and to try and live a healthier lifestyle.
Not content to rest on her national title, McCulloch is now shifting her focus to competing in Melbourne in March at an event which attracts the world's best bodybuilders, the Arnold Classic.
An ultimate goal would be to meet him and to compete in an IFBB competition. That's my future goal.
Good evening. Hobart 19 today, Launceston 21, Burnie 20, Devonport 17. 21 was the top seen in Launceston, followed closely on 20 at St Helens, Friendly Beaches and Wynyard. 19 at Maria Island and Scottsdale, 18 in Bushy Park and Flinders and 17 for Grove and Lowhead. It was a chilly night with the state's low being -3 at Lyowini. The satellite is showing a thick cloud mass continuing to spill off the New South Wales and Victoria coast into the Tasman, embedded with thunderstorms. Mid-level thunderstorms also visible across WA. Elsewhere, low-level cloud over the Bight is pushing over Australia's southern coastline. Up close, cloud extending over the west of the state today. Cloudy conditions also near Flinders, with the remainder of Tasmania pretty clear. Tomorrow, a high is sitting stationary over the Bight and will extend a ridge over southern Australia and a southwesterly flow towards Tasmania. On the waters, south to southwesterly winds to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots about the east and south, seas to 5 metres across the west and south. A strong wind warning is current for eastern and southern coastal waters from the northern tip of Flinders to Low Rocky Point, including the Channel and Storm. Tomorrow, looking at possible showers for Hobart and Adventure Bay 16, Tarraleah showers 11, Devonport and Bridport 18, Launceston partly cloudy with 19, Burnie partly cloudy 17 and a shower or two in Strawn 14, Marrawar 13. In St Helens and Swansea, partly cloudy with 18, Whitemark sunny and 16. Tomorrow's UV is again ranging from high to very high. And the 3-day forecast: Wednesday, showers for the west and south, fine elsewhere with northwest to southwesterly winds. Thursday, clearing showers for the west and south, possible evening showers in the northwest and western tiers. Friday, fine in the west, possible light showers elsewhere. And lapping the map tomorrow, possible storms and 33 in Perth, Adelaide partly cloudy 22, Melbourne possible showers 16 and Sydney showers of 21. And currently 14 in Hobart with some cloud, Launceston 17 and clear, 15 for Devonport and clear. It sure was a beautiful day in the north. That's all from me. Thanks, Jo.
Okay, thanks so much for that. And that's all from the news team for now. We'll see you with updates a little later. Bye-bye.